Welcome to the GCN Tech Show. This week I'm flying solo, but fear not, it's going to be a good one. I mean, in addition to hot new Shimano pedals, Aero mudguards, new bikes, your upgrades and the Bike Vault, we've also got a special guest. I'm going to be joined by Edwin from Speedbar, the man behind the custom cockpits used by the world's fastest riders. This week on the GCN Tech Show, we've got a special guest. We're joined by Edwin von Vugt. I got it right.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Brilliant. So Edwin is the creator of Speedbar, which, if you're unfamiliar, are custom aero extension tri-bars and base bars that are used by, well, the world's best cyclists, time trialists, and also triathletes as well. So notable examples would be Victor Campenaert's bike for his hour record. He used Speedbar, and Rowan Dennis in his World Championships ride in Yorkshire also used Speedbar. So thanks for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you. So I've asked the audience a load of questions for you because there's a lot of interest in these kind of products. But the first thing I think we need to find out is, what is the aero advantage of these Speedbars? So we've got actually a question from Og1341 who says, what kind of gains do you get at, say, 45 kilometers an hour?
Well, it's hard to really put a number on the gains that the Speedbar will give you. We can measure a lot of gains, so we can see there is an aerodynamic gain. We've seen like a 4 watt gain. We've also seen a 14 watt gain. It really depends on the person who is using it, the speed, where it's tested at, how it's tested. But except from the gains that we can measure, I guess, and what I've heard for the customers who are using it, is the biggest gain actually is the comfort that the Speedbar will give you.
It is crazy, like how they do just fit in compared to a round bar. But I mean, you say 4 to 14 watts.
Yeah,
that's a significant aero improvement.
Yeah.
That's the difference between winning or losing the world's time trial.
Could be. Yeah.
How did you get into this? Like, how did this come about? Making these things. How did you get into it, and what was the inspiration for doing it?
Well, we were into carbon fiber. We are into it for 10 years. We started out with a carbon fiber repair company, which also gave us some work from Pro Tour teams. And actually, the idea for the Speedbar came almost 4 years ago during the Rio Olympics. I think everybody can remember that Rowan Dennis was during his race, during his time trial race, he broke his extension, the extension of his bike, so which threw him out of the competition. And at that point, I had some good contact with the team, and I actually sent them just a WhatsApp message. Hey, maybe it's a good idea that I will make a handlebar for him. And that's actually how it all started out. So we the handlebar that we would like to make for Rowan, the plan actually was to get rid of all the connections, when you want to get to the perfect position on your time trial bike. There's a lot of spacers involved which are connected to the base bar. Then you have a clamp where your extension is connected in, which is clamped down, and on top of that your arm pads are connected again. So what we want to create was actually a handlebar with less connections, so like a one-piece handlebar.
Mm-hmm. How many pros are you making them for now then? But people are also asking, is it just for pros? I've got a question from Meg Dickerson who says, can you make me some?
Yeah, I can. One of the rules that the UCI is every product on the bikes that are using during races have to be commercially available.
Well familiar with that rule on the GCN Tech Show.
So, yeah, of course you can buy a handlebar. Everybody can.
Pete up to Grove asks, what does a pair of them cost, and how many can you make? Well,
they're not cheap.
Yeah.
For starters, it takes me like 30 hours of manual labor to create one of those bars.
And it's just you making them.
It's a one-man show. If you email us, then I will email you back. If you come to us for the mold, I will take the mold. I will produce the handlebar, and I will put a stamp on the box with your handlebar. So it's only a one-man show. We would like to keep it like that, because when you in the business of making something, well, actually very personal, I guess it's also very important to have contact with only one person. So there's a lot of hours involved. So the price for the handlebar starts at 3,600 euros, which can vary by if you want to have a computer mount integrated, or in the triathlon world, some people will like to have a bottle cage mounting plate in there. So they're quite expensive, but yeah, if you see the numbers of hours that we put into one set of handlebar, I think it's a very honest price.
Yeah, 2 pairs a week is your maximum working flat out.
It's 30 hours per handlebar, so 2 per week is like a 60-hour working week for me. And which, I'm sorry guys, but that's really the maximum I will do.
Well, Rowan Dennis has actually asked a question. He's saying, why the beard?
Well, Rowan Dennis, for starters, because you can't, I guess. But why the beard? Yeah, why not? Huh?
Yeah, well, that's it. Rowan's been told. Tris Pilling has got a question saying, like, is there a fastest arm position? Is there, a best kind of angle for bars, or the distance the bars should be placed apart? I mean, in your experience with looking at tri-bars and the aerodynamics of them, what do you recommend?
Well, there is a best arm position for every individual person, actually. That's the whole point. For instance, when you see Michael Weiss or Sebastian Kienle on their triathlon bikes, who have a really flat out position, those guys are tested in wind tunnels and have track tests like every year, so they know spot on what's best for them.
It's interesting because in recent years, that like high hands position, the praying mantis, has become really popular, and also a lot of people look at that as being faster, and they look at the older sort of Cancellara, Tony Martin position, and like you say, Jan Frodeno, clearly very good for him.
For instance,
triathlete win. But then they think, oh well, he doesn't know that the high hands thing, but it's like you're saying is for some people that's faster.
But it's not working out for him.
Yeah.
And it's really a personal thing. So you can't say 90% of the people is riding in this praying mantis position, so it also should be the best for me. No, not at all.
It's best for me though. We've tested it. I found out. So a great question from Mark Bremercombe, who says, who is the most aero pro you've worked with?
Well, for instance, Victor Kampenaerts, of course. He's way up there. He's trying to save every single watt that's possible.
So I've got a question, and that is just how do you make them? Like, what's the process you go through in order to make these for an athlete?
To make the handlebar, we have to make a mold of your lower arm. So while you're on the bike, in your aero position, we will make a mold, where we use these plates for. This is like a thermoplastic material. So we heat it up in like a box of water or whatsoever. And when it's all hot, it becomes very flexible. When you're in the position, we apply this material to your arm and actually wrap it with some bandage. So it's really, we get every imprint, every vein we can see within the imprint. Something like this. And of course, we want to smooth it out. We want to smooth it out a little. And there's always this wrinkles. For instance, you will always have an imprint of your normal arm pad over here, which you don't want to have in the Speedbar.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to sand out and make it like one smooth curved line. And that's actually where we applied a few first layers of carbon fiber on. So this is the really first start to making the handlebars, which we then cut out in the shape that we want. We glue a tube underneath so it can house the internal cable routing. Then we give it its final shape and we wrap it again with a few layers of carbon fiber to make it really steady and sturdy. Then comes the most tricky part, which is actually positioning it on your base bar. So over here we have, this is a specialized base bar. In the end we have to position it somewhere in the correct angle, in the correct width, in the correct position that you would like to have it on your bike. To do that we integrate the spacers that come with the handlebar into the Speedbar.
So that's what you've got here?
That's what we've got over here. So this is like a spacer that's integrated into the Speedbar. Then we apply again a few layers of carbon fiber, and then actually the Speedbar is technically ready. After that it goes to the paint shop, who gives it a nice smooth coat, and then you've got your finished Speedbar.
Nice. Right. Well, thank you so much for coming down. It's like amazing to see the products, and it's great to, speak to someone who's doing such like a little artisan sort of cottage industry that's permeated pro cycling in such an incredible way. But yeah, thanks very much, man.
Thank you.
And if you've got any questions for Edwin, let us know in the comment section down below, and well, I guess you can log in on YouTube and answer them, and we'll try and answer them as well. Few issues are as divisive as mudguards/fenders, if you're American, to us road cyclists. But now, Null Winds Technology reckon that their Aero Defender mudguard, or fender, is going to also make you faster, in addition to protecting you, your bike, and your friends from road spray. Check this out. Apparently, this intriguing aero-shaped product will outperform any aero wheel on the market, according to Null Winds claims, and they've got a patent on it and everything. I mean, well, the only downside really is if you're a pro, you can't stick it on your bike in a race, because under the UCI rules, those pesky UCI rules, it counts as a fairing, which means it's not allowed. But if, like me, you're not a pro, well, fill your boots. But I want to know, what do you think? Hot or not, the new Aero Defender mudguard? You can vote somewhere on screen. Having been spotted at the Tour Down Under, Felt has officially announced its new aero bike, the Advanced AR. Now, the new bike has all the hallmarks of a modern, disc-equipped aero road bike. So you've got aero tube profiles, kind of like slightly dropped seat stays, and lots of integration, and this integrated stem which all the cables run through, which Cycling Tips rather amusingly described as Jabba's sail barge, which tickled me. It does look like Jabba's sail barge. But check this out, and it's available in 3 different options. So you can get a frame set only option, Ultegra Di2, and mechanical Ultegra as well. Certainly a very nice looking bike. More hot tech next week. Cha-ching! It's now time for Screw Riding Upgrades by Upgrades, where you submit evidence of the changes that you've made to the equipment and cycling infrastructure within your life. This can take the form of cave paintings. We've never had a cave painting. Sculptures, animations, but usually it's just photos. Anyhow, last week was a battle between Jeffries Merckx and Bruce Andrews Carrera, and the winner was Bruce Andrews Carrera with 76%. Quite a comprehensive victory that. The cap is in the post. So, as I didn't mention this in the intro, this is the chance for you to win the ultimate prize, a GCN cap, or casquette if you're French. So, this week's contenders are, first up, Friedrich, who's from Hanau, Deutschland. He has a Bianchi record, 920, 1986 this bike. He says he found this unused Bianchi record as just a frame set, and he also found some Campy cranks as well lying around in an old garage, and decided to go for what he describes as a neo-retro build because he needed a winter bike in Deutschland. So first, he looked for a new fork because the original one had been broken in a crash, and so he went for a Columbus chrome fork to match the chrome chainstays. He then got a few other bits, like a pair of Cinelli handlebars and some other bits that he found in an old parts bin. Nice to recycle those. He then looked for a saddle and handlebar tape, and he says there was only one colour option he would ever consider for this bike. Celeste. I mean, John would have loved that. Anyhow, he then needed a group set, so he went for the group set of the people. Shimano 105, 5800, 11 speed, right? Which amazingly he said he found on eBay for just $100. Strange though, because I thought the currency was euros in Germany. Anyhow, he's also put on a pair of Ultegra brakes, which he said he got for a very low price. And then he's put on a pair of Zip 30 wheels, 11-speed cassette, and some Conti X lightweight tyres. He says they ride like a dream. What should we think of this? Let's have a look. So, wow. I mean, look at that. Look at where it was. Look at it now. Those wheels, the Zip 30 wheels, for what they cost, they look really smart. That is awesome. That's amazing what you've done with that, considering what it started with. And that fork as well, the fact that it's sort of got a stainless steel finish on it, that looks really smart. I'll tell you what, whoever's up against Friedrich is going to struggle, I think, this week. So let's see who it is. This week up against Friedrich, we've got Robin Berger, who's done that classic thing we often see in the upgrades segment, which is to turn an old mountain bike into a sort of all-terrain, well, gravel bike if you will, but I prefer the term mixed surface. So check this out, he's got his frame, and which is a nice Marin frame, classic sort of 90s mountain bike. I used to have an old Marin. And then he's changed his saddle, you can see there, and he's turned it into a drop bar conversion, which looks great. And he's changed the group set, so he's put 2x10 speed Ultegra 6600 on there, which is a cracking group set. I used to have that group set on one of my bikes, and he's also changed the bottom bracket out for one of the Holotech ones. Also upgraded his tyres to some nice Schwalbe ones there, and also a new look on the fork as well. Also put on some bottle cages, changed his pedals and stuff as well. But I mean, because he sort of started with what was a nice frame that's lasted and is in really good nick, there's sort of no need to really change the way it looks. But I do like what he's done with the fork. That looks cool. Well, I mean, it's not up to me, is it? You decide. You know the drill. There's a link somewhere on screen. John always knew where the links were on the screen. Well, there'll be a link, just click on the link. It's now time for the bit you've all been waiting for, the Bike Vault, where you submit pictures of your bikes and then we judge them to be either nice or super nice. If they're super nice, then we ring this. This is the bell, and they go into the Bike Vault. But fear not, if you disagree with our judgments, which, let's face it, you often do, then don't worry. You can have your own say at home by voting in the GCN app. And we'll post next week's Bike Vault entries in the app ahead of the show, so you can vote before we do. Right, without further ado, let's crack on and see what we've got this week. So first up, we've got Santana Hakuba, who has his rather nice BMC road machine there. Is that a road machine? Oh, it's a team machine, TR01. Wow, look at that. It's got some rather nice Ultegra Di2, but also it looks like an XTR Di2 rear derailleur on there. So he's got a massive cassette on there, but it looks like he lives in a very mountainous place. So that's pretty cool to have like hacked that together. I remember seeing Team Sky using some XTI stuff on the back of their bikes. I think Wiggins actually did it back in the day on some very steep roads. So that's pretty cool. I like that because it is all cross-compatible as well, which is nice. I like your orange bar tape. I like the Mavic sticker you've got on there. But, I mean, you're not in Biggie Smalls and the cranks aren't aligned at the 3 o'clock position. And I mean, I like you've got Mavic sticker on the fork and on the top tube as well. I kind of like that Mavic thing going on. That's pretty cool. You've got your Mavic wheels on there. And apparently this is in the Japanese Alps, which does look amazing. Although that sign is a little worrying with like the kind of boulders falling on you there. You probably shouldn't have stopped in that particular location. It's such a nice place. I'm torn. Right, okay, nice. Right, next, I mean super nice. I can't even do it right. It's like, I just wish John was here. Anyway, next up, we have got the, oh wow, look at that, it's giant Propel. Oh man, this is someone who has watched the how to get in the Bike Vault video. Check this out, this is Ash Burke, 14. Took this photo just before competing in the Australian National Gran Fondo. Wow, look at that. I mean, tyres and wheels aligned, valves aligned, running tubeless, like it. No spaces above the stem. He's removed the accessories. Nice clear background. I mean, you're making my life easy. I like that. Super nice. Right, next up, we've got, wow, that's another nice one. Cinelli. Being a Cinelli, classic single speed bikes, and there's something I just love about a single speed. They're just so cool and elegant and clean. And I'll tell you what, actually, bonus marks, because getting your wheels aligned with your valves aligned on a single speed is no mean feat, because the back wheel is fixed. So the fact that you've gone to the extra effort of doing that, I think deserves bonus marks. I mean, your pedal's not quite aligned, but I'm gonna let that slide because it's hard on a single speed. And I love that sort of fade on the bar tape as well. And it matches the blue on the frame. I think that's gorgeous. I think that's super nice. Another one. I'm in quite a good mood this week. Right, next up, we've got this from M. Johnson. He submitted his Trek Demonic, oh my goodness. That appears to be an American alligator in the background. There are two types of alligator. Obviously they vary in size. There's the American alligator and the Chinese alligator. This being, of course, the more prevalent American alligator, being in North America. They can grow up to 11.2 feet, 3.5 meters long, and typically weigh up to 454 kilograms, half a ton. Interesting fact for you, the temperature of the alligator's nest determines what sex the offspring will be. So females are produced when the temperatures are below 82.4 degrees Fahrenheit, and males are produced at temperatures above 91.4 degrees Fahrenheit. So a temperature of 87. Johnson, you're precariously close to that alligator there. Although if you are Michael Johnson, who won gold in the 200 meters in Atlanta 96, then, well, I guess you don't need to worry about that. Anyway, super nice alligator. And finally, in the Bike Vault this week, we've got this stunner from Lucas Tavora, who submitted his beautiful Cannondale Super 6. I've got a soft spot for these bikes, I have to admit. I love the flat top tube, and it's something that's becoming a bit of a rarity in modern bike design. We're not seeing as many flat top tubes these days, but it's the classic proportions of the road bike. I love the tan sidewall Vittoria Corsa tyres. You've got Supercaz bar tape on there, that's really cool. Nice carbon Sella Italia SLR Flow saddle. And some nice little details as well. No excess steerer above the stem. I like your little sort of add-on custom lightweight quick release skewers you've put on there. And you're ticking the boxes as well. I mean, well, no, actually, not quite Biggie Smalls, but Biggie Smallish. So we'll let that slide. You've not lined up your valves either. And how have you actually propped that bike up? I'm struggling to see the stick that you've used. You've hidden it well. You've hidden it well. I don't know how you've propped that up. Magic. Also, your saddle to bar drop is massive. That's a huge step off you've got there. It almost looks like you've done that sneaky thing of raising your saddle just for the picture to try and impress us, even though I had no idea why that would impress anyone. Anyway, it's a really nice bike. I really like it, but you're just ignoring the rules, and it's not like there's a dangerous apex predator in the background that's prevented you from, tweaking the bike and getting it in tip-top Bike Vault submission condition. Nice. It's a nice for me. Yeah, must try harder, Lucas. Anyhow, that's all we've got time for the Bike Vault this week. So make sure you submit your Bike Vault entries using the GCN app, and you can vote on next week's too. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for this week. It's nearly the end of the show. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. And also massive thanks to Edwin for coming in and giving up his time. Fascinating to hear about the Speedbar. And if you've got any questions about that, just fire them in the comments and we'll try and get back to you on those. And if you'd like to get your hands on one of these splendid GCN tops or any other GCN merch, well, you can do. You're in luck. It's all available in shop.globalcyclingnetwork.
I'm going to go now. Bye.